Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today I will be reviewing George Howell Coffee out of Boston, Massachusetts. I'm currently outside of their location on Washington Street, and I'm going to be trying their Almurri Family Natural Processed Yemen. So the barista suggested I take off the lid, and I'm always going to take a barista suggestion and try it this way. So let's go ahead and take a sip. There's definitely a very distinct and noticeable smell from this coffee. It's coming throughout the car. All right, George Howell Coffee. I'm so happy I finally get to kind of discuss this coffee roaster. In my first ever video, I put them in the overrated category for the tier list. Now, this is my perfect chance to defend that and kind of talk a little bit more about George Howell. I've heard from so many people that George Howell is the number one best coffee roaster in the world. And I understand a lot of people's argument for that. There's so much merit to it. George Howell's an insanely impressive coffee roaster, and I have endless respect for George Howell, his coffee brand, everything that goes along with that. They are just as important to the East Coast as any coffee roaster is to any part of anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. George Howell matters, and I'm just going to heap praise. This video is probably just going to be me heaping praise on George Howell as a coffee roaster as a whole, and George Howell the person. Now, I made a video a couple days ago from when I recorded this talking about how my reviews, it's all opinion based. So that's why I put George Howell in the overrated category for me. Not because it's not outstanding and not because it's not one of the best coffee roasters in the world. It really is. But because it's just not my personal preference. A couple years ago, not too long ago actually, I purchased quite a few bags of coffee from George Howell, and I was experimenting with it, and I just personally wasn't blown away by any of the offerings. And that being said, for me, it just doesn't have the same taste as some other coffee roasters that I really love. Sweet Blue and Onyx I talk about a lot. They're just my personal preferences, my personal favorites, and that's not a knock on George Howell. I understand why people love him and his coffee and this coffee roaster as a whole. It's an amazing coffee roaster. But I think for now I'll stop heaping so much praise and I'll just talk about the shop. Cool shop, nice shop, probably the best shop in the city. I'm gonna immediately just throw this one on the highly recommend category. It's definitely gonna be the best coffee shop in the city, definitely the best of the George Howells for me. It's the only one I was able to go to that was offering any sort of pour over at this time, and they had this one in the Burundi. This gives me a perfect chance to talk about this coffee. It's a very, very rare coffee. It's a natural processed Yemen, which is hard to find no matter which coffee roaster you're going to. Very rare, very limited coffee. It's 4 ounces for $70 for a bag of this coffee, so I'm drinking something very special today. And far be it from me to critique many of this stuff because, like I said, I'm just a consumer. And I've drank a lot of coffee and been to so many places over the years. I know what I like, and that's why this one's just, it's a really cool and unique experience for me. And again, I'm rambling and throwing praise on George Howell, but just because I want to emphasize how important and amazing George Howell is. If you don't know or aren't familiar, go ahead and take a look. Very, very important coffee roaster, and definitely going to be the best for the New England area. There's no question about that for me. And let me go ahead and talk about this coffee. So this is tricky again. It's very fruit forward, and as soon as you open the cup, you get so much fruit coming throughout this vehicle. I can smell it. It's everywhere in this vehicle. And it's so nice, and it's very impressive smell. And this coffee taste, I'm not sure how I would describe this. Maybe it's probably similar to a nicer end of a natural Ethiopia. Natural Colombia. I'm curious how this might change as it cools down, but I do get a lot of strawberry, I do get a lot of honey, and I do get a lot of lemon. And there's some other stuff that's lying underneath. I can't exactly pull it out right now and tell you what it is, but it's really nice. It's a really, really good cup of coffee. And here's where things get a little tricky. If you want something unique out of the ordinary, out of the box, then this is where you go. I feel like this is kind of a hard sell to somebody that might not be the, you know, biggest coffee enthusiast. For somebody like me that's a huge coffee enthusiast, I like unique, different, out of the ordinary. So I really like this, and I think it would be hard to tell somebody to spend $70 for what essentially might be, you know, a couple pour overs, a couple brews, just a couple of cups of coffee. But it's such a unique and nice experience that I would probably do it. I would put this in the recommend category, this Yemen. They did a great job. I think that coming out here and allowing them to make me a cup of coffee was what I needed, because this is really impressive. It's complex. It's very, very complex. It's so complex I can't really tell what's that hidden underneath, but it's definitely there. There's so many, you know, hidden flavors, forward flavors. It balances well. Not a whole lot of like acidity. It's got a great mouthfeel, lingering finish. It's really nice. I'm going to put George Howell in the definitely recommend category. If you're in Boston, of course, this shop, specifically the Washington Street stop, is my number one stop in the entire city. Probably for the entire New England area. It's going to depend on maybe how Tandem does, but this coffee right here, I'm going to put it in the recommend category for coffee enthusiasts. Now, if you're not a coffee enthusiast, if you're kind of more on the, you know, getting into coffee, or like you have an idea of what you like, but you're not able to spend an abundance, I don't know if I could justify this for you. But again, huge coffee fan. I like this. I enjoy this, and that's why I'm just going to leave it in. That's how I'll leave it, in the recommend category. And now I've been rambling for 7 minutes, but well, there was a lot to talk about with this George Howell review, and I hope there was at least something educational in this, and I felt like this coffee and the coffee roaster was worth talking about this much. So this has been a review of George Howell Coffee in Boston. Thank you for watching.